Willkommen zu Abschnitt 19. Dieser Abschnitt ist über den Akkusativfall. Welcome to this chapter, and here it is about the accusative case. This is another grammatical case. We have looked already at the nominative case. Now this is the next we are going to look at. The accusative as well as the nominative case also exist in English. So let's have a look what that is. So it's also called the fourth grammatical case, and we have a case question for the accusative case, and the case question in German is wen, was oder wohin. While in the nominative case we are asking wer oder was, we are asking who or what. So it's about the subject of the sentence, who is the active part, who is the doer. This is in the nominative case. Now in the accusative case, the case question is wen, was oder wohin. Wen in English also means who, but this is the passive part in the sentence. Let's say it's the victim. It's the one to whom somebody is doing something, or it is the second object on the second person in the sentence, who or which is not the active part. Okay, this case question will help you later on if you have to decide in a sentence what the accusative, the nominative. Further on, you will learn also the dative and the genitive case are. So those case questions here, this is for the accusative case. There are also other case questions for the other grammatical cases. They will help you to figure out which object is in which grammatical case. And then asking wohin, it means where to. You will need this later on with the Wechselpräposition. They are called. There are certain prepositions that work with the accusative and the dative case. I don't want to confuse you too much for that. You will learn it later on in the A2 course. There are certain prepositions that just work in the accusative case. I will show you them throughout this chapter. And there are also prepositions that just work with the dative case, and there is a third group of prepositions that work with both cases. So then it depends on whether there is a movement involved or not. So if you are moving from another place, from one place to another, you would use the accusative case. But at the moment, this is not too important. This is just for you to keep in mind. Later on, there will come something which is about movement or no movement. Okay, but this is the case question. Wen, was oder wohin? We are asking here about the passive part or the receiver. Then here we have the definite articles, der bestimmte Artikel in the accusative case. So here, as you remember, in the nominative case, der is the masculine one, die is the female one, das is the neutral article, and die is also the plural article. In the accusative, if you have a look here, the masculine one is changing. Der becomes den in the accusative case. The other ones all stay the same. Now let's have a look at an example. Heidi sieht den Professor. It means Heidi sees the professor. So sehen, it always means literally to see with your eyes in German. It doesn't mean anything else. Like in English, it could mean that she's dating him or whatsoever. In German, it literally just means that you see somebody with your eyes. And here, Heidi is the active part. So she is the subject or the nominative object. She is the one who is seeing, right? And the object that she sees, or the person she's seeing, is the professor. So here, the professor is the accusative object. So we have certain verbs that always work with the accusative. So sehen, to see, whatever you see or whoever you see, always needs to be put in the accusative case in any sentence. Okay, because sehen, you have to keep this in mind, is an accusative verb. Later on, I will show you more verbs that always work with the accusative. It is a big help for you to study those, because later on we are going to look at the dative case, and in the dative case does not exist in English, so it could be a little bit confusing if you are a native English speaker to understand when you use accusative, when the dative case. So learning the verbs that just belong to the accusative case and the verbs that are pure dative verbs, for example, will be a big help for you. Okay. So here the next sentence is ihr habt die Tasche, which means you have the purse if you talk to a group of people. Now here, haben, to have, is also an accusative verb. Whatever one has is an accusative object. So here die Tasche, the purse, is the accusative object. It is exactly the same in English. The accusative case exists also in English. So here die Tasche, but it's not as obvious as here in the sentence because the article does not change. So you could also think that it might be the nominative object, but it's here the accusative. Okay. Then the next one, der Hausmeister trägt das Hemd, means the janitor wears the shirt. Tragen, to wear or to carry. Right? Whatever you wear or carry is an accusative object. So here, das Hemd or the shirt is the accusative object. And the last example, die Touristin isst die Orangen, which means the female tourist is eating the oranges. And here, essen, whatever you eat, is an accusative object. So die Orangen here are an accusative object. Okay, so this slide here is just about the definite articles. Just to keep in mind, in the accusative case, just the masculine articles change. In the dative case, it is a little bit more complicated, or not complicated, but it's changing more. In the accusative case, the good thing is that just the masculine one changes. All other ones stay the same. Okay, now the next slide, here we have the indefinite articles, or der unbestimmte Artikel, the indefinite article. Now, I hope you remember, we learned that in the chapter about the nominative case. So here, definite article in English is right? A table, a child, a chair, and so on. So this English is the indefinite article. And in German, in the nominative case, the masculine one is ein, female eine, the neutral one is ein, and there is no plural in the indefinite articles. Does not exist in the plural form. So here you also see the only one in the accusative that is changing is the masculine one. Ein becomes einen. Okay, the other ones stay the same. So here we have the sentence, ich kaufe einen Tisch, which means I'm buying a table. Table is masculine, or it's der Tisch in German. So here you have to say einen Tisch. You don't say anymore ein Tisch as in the nominative case, right? You have to say ich kaufe einen Tisch because you're using the verb kaufen. Kaufen is an accusative verb. Whatever you buy, the object that you are buying needs to be put in the accusative case. Very important. Then we have the next sentence. Meine Tante liest eine interessante Zeitung. Zeitung, the newspaper, is female in German. It's die Zeitung. So here you have to use eine, but it does not change. It's the same as in the nominative case. But lesen, to read. Whatever you read, the object that you are reading is always an accusative object. Okay, so here this is the accusative object. Eine interessante Zeitung, an interesting newspaper. The next sentence, der Großvater sucht ein Fernglas, which means the grandfather is looking for binoculars. In English, you always have to put it in the plural form. In German, it's just ein Fernglas, so it's one binocular. Let's say we keep it in the singular form, unless you want to you're looking for several binoculars. And here, das Fernglas, it's neutral in German, so you also say ein Fernglas. Suchen means to look for. Whatever you're looking for or whoever you're looking for is an accusative object in the sentence. Okay, and then here, Inge hat Kinder, Inge has children, right? In English, you neither would say Inge has a children. You just say Inge has children. Inge hat Kinder. Okay, so that was about the indefinite articles, über die unbestimmten Artikel. Then we have the personal pronouns. Now here's a comparison between the nominative and the accusative case. And here you see how they are changing. In English, the same happens. And this is when he is changing to him or she is changing to her. Now let's take an example with the verb sehen, which is to see. In English, it is also an accusative verb. Whatever or whoever you see, it changes to the accusative case. So you say, I see her, and you say, I see him. right? You don't say I see she or I see he. You say I see her and I see him. So it's exactly the same in German. The personal pronouns are changing. Ich is changing to mich, du is changing to dich, to ihn, sie and es stay the same, wir is changing to uns, ihr to euch, and sie in the plural form also stays the same. Also, if you talk in the polite form to somebody or in the formal way with capital S, it also stays exactly the same in the accusative S and the nominative case. Okay, so you would have to learn those. So I would say, for example, du siehst mich, which means you see me, right? You don't say you see I in English, you also say you see me. In German it's the same. Du siehst mich. The object that is being seen needs to be put in the accusative case. Or ich sehe dich, which means I see you. In English it happens that it stays the same in the accusative and nominative case. Okay, so those you would have to study, those personal pronouns in the accusative case. Okay, then the next slide, here we have the prepositions. In order to find out in which grammatical case an object is, those prepositions can be a big help for you. If you have an exam, for example, or an exercise where you have to find out or define the accusative object, those prepositions here are pure accusative prepositions. So whatever comes after those prepositions needs to be put in the accusative case. They should become a kind of signal words for you. So whenever you see those prepositions, you know, okay, now comes the accusative object. Let's have a look at their meaning. Durch in German, durch means through. So here we have Zeit, which means time. Ort is the place or location. Grund means reason, and Ziel is the aim. So here through, referring to a location, durch die Stadt means through the city, durch die Stadt. So durch, now we have die Stadt that comes right afterwards. So die Stadt here is the accusative object because it stands right after through. Okay, it's not about the verb here. It's about the preposition, using this preposition. So what comes directly afterwards needs to be put in the accusative case. Let's say we would say I walk through the park, which is der Park in German. The park is der Park. It's masculine. So here you would have to say ich laufe durch den Park. Der would change to den because it comes right after the preposition durch. So it needs to be put in the accusative case. If it's a masculine noun that comes right afterwards, you would see the difference much more than now here with die, because die is exactly the same as in the nominative case. Then the next one, Grund, reason, durch seine Hilfe, through his help. So this is how you can apply this preposition here, and in which occasions. So if it's about a location or a reason, for example, through his help, you can say through his help I achieved my goals, for example, durch seine Hilfe. Then the next preposition is bis. Bis means until. So here, referring to time, bis nächste Woche means until next week. Okay, so here nächste Woche is the accusative object because it stays right after bis. Bis nächste Woche. Then if it's about location, it can also be bis Berlin, which is until Berlin. So if it's a location, you can say I'm driving until France, or I'm driving until I don't know, Frankfurt, and so on. So this here, the location that comes right after bis is the accusative object. Then the next preposition is für. Für means for. So if it's about time, für ein Jahr, it means for a year. Okay, für ein Jahr. If it was for a month, der Monat, the month is masculine, you would have to say für einen Monat. Okay, because that comes, Monat would come, it comes exactly after the preposition für, so you have to put it in the accusative case. Here, Jahr is neutral, the year is das Jahr in German, so here the indefinite article stays ein, just as in the nominative case. And then when we talk about an aim, für dich, it means for you. So let's say this gift is for you, for example. Dieses Geschenk ist für dich, or für mich, for me, für sie, for her, für ihn, for him, and so on. So that is the preposition für. The next one is means around, or it means also at if it's about time. So here 15 Uhr means at 3 p.m. Okay, and here it also means around. If it's about a location, it means around. Den Tisch means around the table. You can say wir sitzen den Tisch. We are sitting around the table. Tisch is masculine, it's der Tisch. So in the accusative, der is changing to den, because it comes right after the preposition okay, so this is if it's about a location. If it's about time, that's just to indicate the time that is at the moment. So 15 Uhr, or it could be, of course, it doesn't have to be the time at the moment. You can just say at 3 p.m. we will meet, for example. So means also at. Okay, then the next one here is ohne. Ohne means without. So here we have the word Meinung, which means opinion, and Art und Weise means the kind and way how you're doing something. So here we have ohne Grund, which means without a reason. So here Grund is the accusative object because it comes right after the preposition ohne. Ohne Grund, without a reason. Gegen means against. So if it's about a location, gegen die Wand, we say he drives against the wall. We don't say he drives into the wall or anything different. This is how we say it in German. So if you drive into the wall, we say gegen die Wand, which means against the wall. Okay, so here die Wand is the wall, and it's the accusative object. Again, because it's standing right after the preposition gegen. If it was, for example, he's driving into the tree, der Baum is masculine, it's the tree. So here you would have to say gegen den Baum. Okay, because it's masculine. So der is changing to den in the accusative. And here, opinion gegen den Plan means against the plan. Der Plan is masculine, so here you see again, der is changing to den. Okay? Then what we often like to do in German is putting prepositions together with articles. It's not always possible, so you cannot take any preposition, put it together with any article. There are just certain combinations that are possible. So here, from all the prepositions that we have looked at, there are just 3 possibilities to put a preposition together with an article. So here we have für plus das, it becomes fürs. Okay, so if natives speak, we very often use that. We would not necessarily say für das, we would rather say fürs. Or instead of das, we would just say ums. But let's have a look at the examples here. Dieses Geschenk ist fürs Kind. It means this present is for the child. I could equally say dieses Geschenk ist für das Kind. Grammatically, it is both correct, but it's just a shorter form. Okay. So here we have läuft ums Haus. It means he's running around the house. You could also say läuft das Haus if it's easier for you. Okay, but you can just keep it together and say läuft ums Haus. Then the next one, ich gehe durchs Zimmer. Here it is durch plus das becomes durch. So ich gehe durchs Zimmer, I walk through the room, or I'm walking through the room. We just have put it together, the article with the preposition. Okay, because here Zimmer is neutral, right? It's das Zimmer, das Haus, and das Kind also. Okay, so let's have a look at the next slide. Here we have a few accusative verbs. They are more than these here in this chart that you are seeing. But for the A1 level, let's say that are the most important ones. You should learn those because we use them very often. And this is also to practice. It's a good start to work with these ones, because they're very useful. So let's have a look at them. Bestellen means to order. Whatever you order, the object that you are ordering, or the service, or whatever it is always an accusative object. So here, ich bestelle ein Wasser, I'm ordering a water. Wasser is neutral, it's das Wasser, so we use the indefinite article ein. Brauchen means to need. Stefan braucht Geduld. Stefan needs patience. Geduld is the accusative object here. So whatever, all the red marked words here are all accusative objects. Essen, whatever you eat, is an accusative object. Kinder essen gerne Süßigkeiten. Here that's the accusative object because this is what children like to eat. Haben, to have. This is what we had in one of the previous slides. Whatever you have or somebody has is an accusative object. So Kopfschmerzen, which is a headache here, is the accusative object because Laura has a headache. Okay, and in English you say a headache. In German, this is the plural form. Whenever you have pain, we put it in plural, in the plural form, and without an article. I just say hat Kopfschmerzen. He has headaches, if you want to translate that into English. Okay, Rückenschmerzen, back pain, and whatever it may is. Most of the time we put it in the plural form. Schmerzen, that means pains or aches. Der Schmerz is the pain in the singular form. Here it's in the plural form. Hören, to hear. Whatever you hear is an accusative object. Wir hören gerne Musik. We like listening to music. Kaufen, to buy. Der Vater kauft ein neues Auto. Auto is neutral, it's das Auto, so we use the indefinite article ein. Now here, don't get too confused, because of this word. New means neu. We are declining in German all adjectives if they are standing before a noun. But this is what we will learn in the A2 level. Okay, but just for you to keep this in mind, the adjectives we always have to decline to the grammatical case and also to the gender of the noun. Lesen means to read. Du liest eine Zeitschrift means you're reading a magazine. So here this is the accusative object. Nehmen, to take. Wir nehmen diesen Fall ernst. We take this case seriously. Here we have der Fall. It's masculine, so we have to say diesen Fall. I hope you remember at one of the first slides there's about the demonstrative pronouns. This is what you will learn in one of the next chapters, how you have to adapt the demonstrative pronouns to each case and also gender. So here, diesen Fall, because it's masculine. Suchen, to look for. Whatever you look for is an accusative object. Ich suche ein passendes Geschenk. I'm looking for a suitable present. Geschenk is neutral, it's das Geschenk, so we use the indefinite article ein. Trinken means to drink. Das Mädchen trinkt Apfelsaft. Whatever you drink or someone drinks is an accusative object. Vergessen, to forget. Ich habe den Termin nicht vergessen. I have not forgotten the appointment. Der Termin, the appointment, is masculine, so here the article changes from der to den. Verlieren, to lose. Hast du deinen Schlüssel verloren? Have you lost your key? Okay, it's der Schlüssel, masculine, so you have to say deinen Schlüssel. There's a chapter about the possessive pronouns also in this course, so you will learn this also there, how to use it in each grammatical case. The next one is verstehen, which means to understand. Versteht mich, which means he understands me. So it's just as in English, I is changing to me, right? Versteht mich. Okay. Good. So please learn the verbs and the prepositions and the personal pronouns, and of course the definite and indefinite articles that you have learned or seen in this chapter, because they're super important. I would suggest that you first learn the accusative case, and you can really understand how to use it before you move on to the dative case, which you will also learn in this course. Because first you have to really understand the accusative, otherwise you might get confused with the dative case, because the dative does not exist in the English language. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this chapter and see you in the next one. Tschüss!